And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thanks for spending time with us here. Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. We got Anthony Rickman back in studio. Been MIA a little bit. He's been busy with his caseload. But Anthony Rickman, give us a little teaser of what we're going to talk about today. He's our criminal defense expert contributor.
It's been a while. I miss you guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, judges. We got hiring lawyers, not hiring lawyers, prepaid legal services. A lot of things going on in the area, sex sting operations. I mean, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Polk County Santa busted in massive Florida child sex sting. Tried to pay $200 to have sex with a 13-year-old. What a terrible 68-year-old Thomas Allen Hicks is his name. We'll talk about exposing some of these folks around Tampa Bay. It seems like every time Grady Judd sets up shop, they're getting like 20, 30, 40, 100 plus, right?
120 bad Santas. Yeah. I mean, every time. Jail.
Yeah, man. Yep. I like what he does over there in Polk County. We also have the Senator Sheehy introduces a bill to hold soft on crime judges accountable. And I got my old clip from our friend Charlie Daniels.
So tell our kids just say no, and then some panty waist judge lets a drug dealer go.
Little throwback for Charlie Daniels there. So we'll get into that and more coming up here on today's show. On the second half as well, we've got Aaron Barrish joining us in studio from Gulfside Healthcare as well. We're going to talk about his industry and how you can help a local nonprofit organization here through some of their community outreaches and things of that nature. So we'll jump right into it here. I want to remind you this week is our event. We've got the W2 Investor Seminar event. Mark Hay is our financial advisor, expert contributor, and we're talking about how to lower your tax bill legally, of course, and build passive income, leverage real estate, keep more of what you earn. This is a really cool thing because it's a lot of the latest stuff, bonus depreciation, cashless tax write-offs. You don't have to outlay cash and get tax write-offs, especially if you're W-2. If you're making $250,000 on a W-2, you're paying about $70,000 in taxes. We're going to show you how to save thousands of dollars when it comes to that. Free event, May 6th, 6 o'clock, Crown and Bull. Appetizers provided, first drink provided by Dominic Rock, First American Home Warranty. Come on out and join us. It's a great event. Crown and Bull, May 6th, 6 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. All right, a couple of hot listings. We'll jump right into it. We always feature our real estate properties on air and maximize the exposure and the profit on the sale of our real estate listings. So we've got a beautiful listing here at 11101 Sumner Road, Waimama. Now, this is a really cool opportunity, especially for that agricultural minded person, agricultural and kind of rural. This is a 1,600 square foot single family that's on almost 5 acres of land. And what you've got is a fully functional farm in Waimama that produces about $6,000 to $8,000 a month in revenue. It's an agricultural residential zoning, and you have a well-maintained 1,620 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home with central air with an open layout right there close to US 301 and I-75. 11101 Sumner Road, Waimama. Great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. 1130 Sweeney Road, Sweeney Drive, that is, in Ruskin. 1471 square feet, just under quarter-acre lot. Waterfront gym on a canal with access to the Little Manatee River in beautiful Tampa Bay. You've got a dock, seawall, perfect for boating, fishing, sunset views. Bring your boats, bring your jet skis. Great opportunity. And I believe this is Nicole's listing on our team, and she works very hard for her clients. Great opportunity. Hey, you can see all of our listings online, platinummvpteam.kw.com, and you can see all of our radio and TV show experts at consumerqb.com.
Only in America, dreaming in red, white, and blue.
All right, let's jump right into it. So let's start off with our lead story here. Polk County Santa busted in massive Florida child sexting. Tried to pay $200 to have sex with a 13-year-old, 68-year-old Thomas Allen Hicks. Pretty crazy stuff. And, of course, over in Polk County, they don't play games over there. Grady Judd does not play games, does he, Anthony?
No, look, I mean, when you talk about these sexting operations, they're prevalent. I mean, every week you see a different sting operation, and they're happening not just on a state level, but on the federal level. I mean, on the federal level, if you're traveling to meet a minor for purposes of sexual activity, it's 8 years minimum mandatory in prison. We'll talk a little later about, these judges letting people off with lower sentences. In federal court, there's minimum mandatories on these type of cases. You're doing 8 years regardless. State court has different type of sanctions, and we talk about these investigations. They're if you're traveling to engage in a sexual activity with a minor and the government can prove it, you're going to get a hard sentence. And we see, Grady Judd, we see the Polk County Sheriff's Office engage in these investigations, and they are very prevalent. Now, for my work in my world, we have a lot of cases where I have clients accused of these offenses. And when we understand these cases, just because you're accused doesn't mean that you're guilty.
Right.
And when I handle these cases, you see the big headlines, sex sting investigation.
Right.
A lot of times you look at them and they're not really what they're made out to be. We don't know the facts of this case. This may be bad Santa.
Yeah.
This may be a case where this guy's a bad dude trying to go and meet and have sex with a minor.
Not Billy Bob Thornton.
Exactly. We're talking real bad dude.
Real bad Santa.
But a lot of these investigations are bad investigations too.
Right.
And I have cases. I have a case right now where the government really engaged in entrapment, where you have somebody on an adult escort website who isn't intending to go out and meet minors.
Right.
And the police are out there doing bad things to entrap people to engage in this activity. And we're fighting these cases in court. So when you see these big headlines, investigations, you also have to be a little leery to say, what's the government really doing here?
Yeah.
So it really does work both ways.
Right.
When you see these big headlines, 150 people arrested, 120 people arrested, do a little more digging. Look behind the scenes and see, are all these people really engaged in this type of activity?
You see some guys on social media too. These almost like investigative journalists now on social media, where they'll have the guy. They'll say, "Hey, are you so and so?" And they'll say, "Yeah." And then it says, "Well, I just want to let you know I've got this proof here, and if you confess everything to me and you call your wife and you tell, like, I won't get law enforcement involved." Like, have you seen those videos?
Oh
before?
Yeah, that vigilante justice. Look, that's bad.
Vigilante
both
justice.
ways across the board. First of all, it's a dangerous situation for the person who is doing it, where they're calling somebody out, they're videotaping that person, they're engaging that person. They don't know if that person has a gun, the other person, how dangerous that person is. And the person who's actually engaging in that vigilante justice, look, law enforcement is trained in conducting these investigations. So we have a training facility called ICAC, that's Internet Crimes Against Children. That's the FBI organization. They train law enforcement in how to chat with people who are engaged in, who are looking for minors to have sex.
Right.
And they train these individuals in a manner to chat so you're not inducing them or entrapping them to do something that they're not supposed to do.
You're not leading them in
that direction. So we don't know how these people are really engaged in this other end. Are they telling this person to do something that really they're not wanting to do?
Yeah.
And you're luring them out to this location to make a headline.
Right.
We don't know what brought that person to the store to get them there. We don't know what was on the other end of that chat.
Right.
And next thing you know, you got a guy putting a camera in his face, punching him in the face, saying, you're a pedophile.
Yeah.
Putting it on Twitter or X.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's on the other end of that chat. All we see is this guy accusing somebody. So you got to be careful of what you see on social media.
Right.
Because that guy's life is ruined now. It's out there.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what's on the other side of it. We don't see that chat that brought him there. So be careful.
Yeah.
In what you see.
It's interesting
on those.
Because some of the videos too, you can, they'll call the wife and say, "Yeah, I'm here with this guy. He's, I'm just letting you know." Like, so it looks like he like he got busted. He did say, "Oh wow, it's a better option for me to call and go ahead and confess this to my wife or whatever." But
you never see the chat.
Yeah, you don't know all the details.
Never see the details.
That's
Why
the thing
is that?
with the internet,
right?
Today, right? You've got all these robo and AI type videos. I mean, you never ever know.
And look, I'm not justifying it by no means,
Yeah.
but that's why we have a court system.
Yeah.
That's why we have the police. That's why we have law enforcement trained. That's why we have juries and trials. It has to be done the right way, and let the police do the police work. And if someone did something, then they have the right to a defense. Then they have right to a court. They have right to a jury, and let the law enforcement do their job. Let the judge do their job. Let the jury do their job. Let defense attorneys do their job.
Yeah.
And if they did it, then they'll be found guilty, and that's how the system works.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. There's a couple of videos of Charlie Kirk where this guy calls in. He says, "Hey, I got a question. Our Constitution only said the word God like 5 times in it or 4 times in it." But he goes on about common law and the way that our system, blind justice, the jury of your peers, speedy trial, presumption of innocence. All of those things are common law based on Christianity. based on the Ten Commandments and early Torah teachings. So, these haters that want to say, oh, America, this and that. What about, when you think about it, we're the best system out there. So if you want to replace our system, what would you suggest? We've got the best system, right?
We do. And when jury selection, we talk about that. We have the best system of justice. We have the only system where you can put 6 people in a box or 12 people having probably nothing in common, and they can sit there, hear the evidence, weigh the facts, and make a decision on guilt or not guilt.
Yeah.
And that's our system. And people have that presumption of innocence. It's a system of laws and justice. It's not an inquisition.
Yeah.
And it's a trial. And that's why our system is great.
Yeah, it's great. And then, then you see what they did to Trump the last few years. It's like unbelievable how they did. In one case, they went back and said, oh, we're going to eliminate the, what's it called, where you go backwards, the statute of limitations.
Yeah. Right.
They said, no, we're wiping that out. So it can be manipulated in a way, but it a lot of times, it's leading into our next story. But Sheehy introduces a bill to hold soft on crime judges accountable. And I love this idea because it's going on to the fact that, they're letting out some of these repeat offenders. And it's the most solemn duty of the government to protect the people. Radical judges from the far left jurisdictions often prioritize soft sentencing for criminals over common sense public safety, allowing violent offenders to wreak havoc in our communities at the expense of innocent, law-abiding Americans. It's time to end the revolving door of criminal justice system and hold accountable the government officials who refuse to uphold the law and keep American families safe. And I believe when we researched the latest on this, Marsha Blackburn was also signing on to help pass it in the Senate, is what producer Todd had said last time. But what's your thoughts about that?
Yes, look, as a criminal defense attorney, I have mixed thoughts. Right? First, as a citizen and as a member of this public, you want to be safe in your community. Yeah. And you want your family safe. I was a prosecutor. You want bad guys in jail, but you also want justice. And what's really justice? So when you have a circumstance where you see a violent criminal and he's brought before a judge, and you have a laundry list of crimes, and the judge is determining bail, there should be accountability to the extent where the judge should weigh the prior record, weigh the facts of that case, and determining if that defendant should be released or not.
Right. And
in weighing that, if the defendant should not have been released, then there should be accountability for the judge if that judge releases it. And that accountability is elections. That accountability is potentially impeachment. That accountability, there has to be some sort of accountability for courts.
But isn't it true that a lot of the judges, they run unopposed? Nobody wants to piss off a current sitting judge, right? And then they just get reelected.
Yeah. And in federal court, there really isn't. It's an appointment. Right. And mostly in local jurisdictions, most judges do run unopposed. Yeah. There really is an unspoken rule. That not really an unspoken rule, but most judges do run unopposed.
I get it. Yeah, like an underlying tone. Yeah,
100%. So I understand that aspect that there is, but judges aren't psychics. You can't expect the judge to understand it. If somebody comes before the court can look at a person's history. Yeah, a court can see that a person has a prior criminal history, but a court can't predict the future. Right. What this person's
now. There are some egregious cases, though, right? Where you got 32, and then they go out like the one guy that killed the Ukrainian girl on the train, which is such brutal, brutality. Like those types of things, you can foresee those, can't you?
Oh, without a doubt. And and that's what I'm talking about. Those are the circumstances where there has to be accountability. Yeah. And there's a chief judge in the jurisdiction. Right. There are ways that judges can be held accountable within each jurisdiction. Right. And there are ways which judges can be held in check by that individual jurisdiction, and there are ways that the courts you can be impeached. There's ways internally the judge can be held in check for what they do. Got it. But then there's the other side. When you have the discretion taken away from judges. Yeah. When a judge can't sentence somebody in a manner in which the judge sees fit because you have requirements. For instance, minimum mandatories. When you have somebody with no criminal history at all and you see they're accused of an offense, and it's a drug offense, a first-time drug offense, and they have X amount of quantity on them. And the judge now is required to give this person 7 years or 10 years because of a quantity. Is that fair? And the judge's discretion is taken away.
Totally get it.
So there has to be a benefit and a cost on both.
I want to get to your the prepaid legal services, these different types of companies, not that company itself, but those types of services that are out there. And then, but I also want to ask you, 8647, is that going to stick? Comey arrested. What do you think? The indictment, there's a couple different schools of thought there. What do you think?
I don't think it sticks. I think it's a free speech issue.
It's a free speech.
It's a free speech issue.
Could be.
Yeah.
Totally. But as the top law enforcement officer in the United States of America, knowing that, and isn't it a known fact in a police, they have all these different codes, right? Yeah. They have these, what is it? A 187, that's a murder, right? Yeah. Like, is there a higher standard for someone like that?
I think there's a higher personal standard. There's a higher ethical standard. I think it's disgusting. I think it's ridiculous. I think there should be accountability.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about a issue of free speech, free expression versus criminality.
Right.
There was no call to action. If there was a call to action associated with the message, then I think
the call to action was buy my book. That was the call to action.
Call to action.
His book was coming out.
Buy my crappy book, right? Yeah, but buy my book is not do an act.
Got it.
Of the actual act of the horrible act that people assumed they was saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't do it.
Yeah. I'm just surprised they haven't come out with other things like the Russia collusion and those things. Like those seem.
That's the stretch, right? Go get them for something the 8640. That's. Yeah. I think that's a stretch. Go get him for what he really could. You get him for, right?
It's a grand conspiracy. Hopefully, they're still putting all that together. Quick break. Right back. More with Anthony Rickman, criminal defense attorney here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about an interesting case, a shooting case where the client had this kind of a prepaid legal type of a service, and it could have went terribly wrong. We're going to talk about that here coming up. Anthony Rickman, Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rimes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Are you a W-2 wage earner making $100,000 or more and feel like taxes are crushing you? What if you could legally reduce your W-2 income using real estate? With strategies like real estate professional status, short-term rentals, high earners are saving tens of thousands of dollars per year. Join us for our workshop and learn how to keep more of what you make. Wednesday, May 6th at Crown and Bull. Mark Hay and Brandon Rimes will be hosting a financial advising workshop for W-2 earners making $100,000 or more. Wednesday, May 6th at Crown and Bull, Main Street, Dunedin. RSVP by calling or texting 813-917-1894. It's a free event. We're going to buy you appetizers, and your first drink will be provided by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. BRimes at KW.com, 813-917-1894. BRIMES at KW.com, 813-917-1894. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Did you know that we buy houses cash? We can close quickly for a all-cash offer on your real estate properties, residential, commercial, even vacant land. We'll buy your property cash. No cleanings, no showings, and no hassles. You can even possibly stay in your home post-closing. Call Brandon at 813-917-1894. Submit the email at consumerqb.com or call 813-917-1894. consumerqb.com. We buy houses cash and fast.
Attention business owners, did you know we have 100% financing options available? Our no money down program offers 100% financing for business owners. If you are currently leasing your commercial space, you can purchase real estate for no money down. Additionally, the program offers money for working capital, equipment, and business fixtures. You can even pay off current business debt. Reach out at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. BRimes at KW.com. And that is our 100% financing, no money down program for business owners. We would love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. 813-917-1894. BRimes at KW.com. All right, let me tell you about my friends at Bayview Paints Plus. Top Godly Morals. Find them on Yelp, Facebook, and Instagram at Bayview Paints Plus, or call 813-917-1894. Window cleaning, solar panels, gutter cleaning at Bayview Paints Plus, 813-917-1894.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rimes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show. We've got Anthony Rickman in studio with us, the RickmanLawFirm.com. Check him out online for all your criminal defense needs right here in Tampa Bay. And we got a listing at 7154 Shoreline Boulevard, Weeki Wachee, Florida. This is a marina for sale, over $3 million. You're buying the land, the building, waterfront property on the Weeki Wachee River, access to the Gulf, 3/4 of an acre. Great opportunity to buy real estate. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. You can search the MLS there, and you can also see all of our radio and TV show experts at consumerqb.com.
And yeah, I'm raising my glass to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, let's get to our so a lot of times, especially if you're in these networking groups, you get, there's one of each type of category, and these folks will come in, they'll have these different prepaid types of legal services. And I always wondered, hey, do they really come through? It's almost like an insurance, right? Do they really come through when there's a challenge?
Well, I know we talk a lot about gun owners and gun rights, and there's a lot of people who have gun insurance. People who own guns. They a lot of times they sell you on these like gun self-defense type of prepaid legal services.
Yeah.
When you buy a gun, hey, buy this self-defense legal service.
Texas Lawfield is one of them. Law Shield.
Law Shield, whatever it may be. I'm not going to mention names particularly, but I had a recent case of one, and my client was in a circumstance where he had to defend himself, and he shot somebody.
Yeah.
And he called this law service, and they set him up with a lawyer. And this lawyer came into the case, and they said, well, we're your lawyer. Never met this lawyer before. Never really handled this lawyer. Never even met the lawyer. The lawyer wasn't even from this county. And
it was
this
all
lawyer
over the phone.
Called their phone. We're your lawyer. You already paid for us. We're going to handle your case.
Yep.
They gave him advice. They told him what to do. They allegedly said, we're going to handle everything. Didn't come here. Didn't do an investigation. Didn't send down an investigator. Now they're fighting for this person's life.
Yeah.
Who was going to be charged with attempted first-degree murder.
Ooh. One
of the most serious charges you can have.
Wow.
And the client came to me and said, hey, what do I do? This is what this lawyer wants me to do. And they were putting him on a path where this person was going to get charged most likely with attempted first-degree murder had I not stepped in. And the moral story is be careful when you have these prepaid legal services.
Yeah.
Because they're not really involved in extent where they should be, where their boots are not on the ground. Service didn't have an investigator on the scene. They didn't come down here. Luckily this person came and got me involved where they got me involved before it was too late.
Right.
Because the path that this attorney had this client on, it was going to be too late. They had him doing things that would have set him up for failure.
Yeah.
I was able to get into the case and prevent my client from getting charged eventually. But a case like this, you need investigators on the scene here locally. You need someone dealing with local law enforcement. You need somebody dealing with local state attorneys. You need somebody dealing with prosecutors, somebody who knows locally how things work, somebody who can deal with the client face-to-face, to sit down with them, to go there and reconstruct the scene, to be involved and feel and know what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't need a prepaid service who's not going to be there and meet with the client. Just talking on the phone is not enough when you're dealing with somebody's life and their freedom.
Yeah.
So when you're charged with serious offense, prepaid legal services is not what you need. You need a serious attorney, so call me.
Yeah, exactly. And we've heard the same story from Rickman over the years. Anthony Rickman here, the RickmanLawFirm.com, 813-917-1894. Call the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call him direct. Give your cell.
813-420-6706. That's my cell phone. Anytime. Call me, text me.
Say it one more time.
813-420-6706. Anthony Rickman.
All right, good stuff, man. Thanks for coming in. A lot of ground covered there. There seems like there's more to cover. There was a judge in Florida I wanted to ask you about that DeSantis kind of called out a few weeks back. Maybe we'll cover that next time. Anthony Rickman, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Coming
me.
up, Aaron Barrish, Gulfside Healthcare on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rimes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Consumer Quarterback Show Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. Aaron Barrish joining us in studio today, Gulfside Healthcare Services. We got some headline stories in the news as well. Feel-good story of the day. Boston Marathon runners praised for stopping to help injured competitor cross finish line. We'll hit on that story as well. Also, big news from economic news. As of late April 2026, U.S. initial unemployment claims have dropped to 189,000 for the week ending April 25. That's the lowest level since 1969. So that's a 57-year low, indicating that economic headwinds and public layoffs, despite economic headwinds, public layoffs, the overall U.S. market, job market, remains exceptionally tight and stable. So it's good news from an economic front. So we'll touch on that as well. And we're going to talk about Gulfside Healthcare Services. Aaron, give us a little teaser of what you want to talk about on today's show and in this segment.
Yes, we just celebrated Volunteer Appreciation Month. It's a great time to celebrate all our wonderful volunteers and then talk a little bit about how we go green.
Okay.
And we try to maintain as much as we can and the revenue for our hospice patients.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it is a nonprofit, so people can volunteer and get involved, can donate, and do a lot of good work out in the communities.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're in multiple counties now, too.
Oh,
right?
yeah. We've got stores in Pasco, but we serve patients in Tampa Bay, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Pasco.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yep. Best place in the country to live, work, and play. And my wife, Lindsay, and I own a top real estate team here in Tampa Bay. We help sellers when they're buying, selling, investing, refinancing. And we always feature our real estate listings. Yeah, up for an award. And we always feature our listings on air as well. Highest duty is to get that maximum exposure for our listing clients, our sellers. We take great pride in maximizing that exposure and the profit on the sale of our real estate listings. So let's take a look at 13451 Hampton Park Court, Fort Myers, Florida. Just did a major price drop on this one, down to $369. Hampton Park Court, Fort Myers. This is a beautiful property at Southwest Florida, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 1,883 square feet, just under a quarter-acre lot. And you are waterfront here as well. You have bright open layout, serene lakefront views, large kitchen there as well. The kitchen has the lighter color kitchen cabinetry, which is very in vogue these days, and you've got the tile flooring, stainless steel appliances. Great opportunity right here in beautiful Fort Myers, Florida, close to the Fort Myers beaches as well. And we also looking at 2488 Del Rio Way in Dunedin. Another beautiful Pinellas County listing here. This is one of my favorites. It's completely remodeled, renovated, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage, 1,407 square feet, and just under quarter-acre lot. This is remodeled to perfection, all the way down to the impact-rated windows. You're a stone's throw away from Dunedin Causeway, Pinellas Trail, Honeymoon Island as well. And you can see all of our listings online at platinummvpteam.kw.com. You can search the MLS there, and you can also see all of our radio and TV show expert contributors at consumerqb.com.
She ain't prejudice, he's just made in America.
All right, yeah, good stuff. Also, a reminder, too, we've got our event coming up on Wednesday. It's the W2 Investor Seminar. Come on out. It's a free event over at Crown and Bull. It's an awesome restaurant right there on Main Street in Dunedin, and it's a free event, May 6th, 6 o'clock, Crown and Bull. We're going to show you what's in the new, some of the big, beautiful bill, some of the things that are in there in terms of write-offs, tax incentives, ways that you can save money. So think about this. If you're W-2'd, and you're making over 6 figures, or a friend or family member that you know, great opportunity to come in and learn how you can take advantage of some of the write-offs. And we're talking about bonus depreciation, accelerated depreciation, cashless tax incentives, and these are all legal ways, of course, to lower your tax bill, build passive income, leverage real estate, and keep more of what you earn. Keep your hard-earned money in your wallet. So May 6th, 6 o'clock, Crown and Bull, First appetizers provided, first drink provided by Dominic Rock, First American Home Warranty. So we hope to see you there. All right. Without further ado, Aaron Barrish, you are the director of thrift shops, and how are things going over there at Gulfside?
They are busy right now. This is a busy time of year for us. We have a lot of donations incoming. Some people decide to migrate out of the area for the season, and people do some spring cleaning.
There you go.
And ready for some fresh, new stuff. So we get a lot of donations, and we've been very busy. Could use more volunteers, that's for sure, as to really help us process those donations. So
okay.
It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What's some of the best rewards that you see? What's
some of the probably the most unique items we get. We get a lot of collectibles that are sometimes forgotten. Grandma or grandpa, you remember having something like that, and it comes in, and you can have one of those moments. You're like, oh, I remember when I used this when I was a kid. Or
yeah.
Sometimes you get those things, and you never know their value till you look them up, and you're like, wow, this is worth a lot of money, and you realize how much revenue you'll make to really help those hospice patients. So,
yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. So you're helping hospice patients, palliative care, home health care, helping all those different types, and you get some really interesting donations. I'm sure you ever come. What's the most unique donation that you've seen?
Oh, a few years ago we got a Victrola, a hand crank Victrola, and we were looking for the electrical cord to plug it up, and realized that it was before that time.
And Victrola, what is it?
Victrola, the record player,
cool.
with the big horn, that's on it, and
cool.
That one, it drew a lot of attention. Of course,
Yeah.
we posted it on social media, and everybody wanted to buy it, and it didn't last very long. It sold
That's
really,
cool.
really fast.
Yeah, that's really cool,
Yeah.
man. You almost could do an auction on something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that, right?
Had we known what we knew now, we probably
Yeah,
should.
yeah. You ever come across? I got my Hulk Hogan, throwback shirt on today. You ever come across some like memorabilia? And things
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. We get a lot of signed stuff, and one thing to add is not only do we have our 4 stores, we have an online store now,
Yeah.
and a lot of our unique items that the memorabilia, hand autographed items. We definitely put those on our website. It cross posts onto eBay, and it gets a lot of traffic. So yeah, we get quite a bit of that. So we've learned how to research signatures really quick.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the different, some of these toys and figures and cards and all that stuff. It has a lot of nostalgia effect, especially from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Kind of a time gone by that we may not see again, right?
Yeah, I think people, the millennials, we'll call them, are really starting to get into their nostalgia era. They're really coming in, and they're really those are probably one of the most searched items that we have on eBay. We can track the watchers, and you can see it's like, this is definitely from their time era that they're looking for. So
yeah, and because a lot of the folks that you're helping with the Gulfside Healthcare Services, Healthcare Services, Aaron Barrish in studio with me is, you're helping people that don't have the ability to pay.
Correct.
Right. So
yes.
that's where the nonprofit side comes in.
That's correct. Yes, and the mission of Gulfside has always been able to help everybody, regardless of their ability to pay. The thrift shop were founded to fund that, and we're trying to be the best stewards we can of the donations that the customers bring to us, and maximize the revenue we can, so we can continue to support that mission, to where we always have money available for charity care. And yes, hospice is our main fundraising provider that we do, and of course now we're in Hillsborough and Pinellas County, so more and more patients are coming forward and realizing that we have the services available and we can help them. So
right.
It's a really, like I said, a rewarding career to have, and really make sure that we can help everyone and continue to say that.
Yeah, that's great. And so you've got 4 locations that you need volunteers for?
Yes, 4 physical locations. The online store, as much as it is virtual online, there's still some physical people that are needed, but it can be done in a remote capacity. But yeah, we've got 4 stores. It takes about 50 volunteers a month to really run the store smoothly and make sure we get all of those donations out to the floor in a timely manner, so we can, turn around and sell them to generate that revenue. But we were lucky to have about 160 volunteers this past year, putting in about 42,000 hours.
Wow.
So we like to call them our $1 million team, because that's about how much they saved us in payroll costs. So
wow, that's really cool.
That they're worth $1 million for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's also a way that you can get the youth involved. Sometimes they're in different programs or schools. Hey, this is something they can put on their resume. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why churches want to get involved as well. Just kind of doing the good thing for Christianity or whatever type of background people may have. But that's a good thing to do for young people, especially.
Yeah, specifically, yeah. We support Pasco County Schools, with the Bright Future Scholarship Hours program. We have an agreement on file. Most of the teens that we get are going towards that scholarship. They want that money. And we really start having a huge influx in the summertime, of course. But we also partner with colleges doing internships. Days of services are a big thing now. Many degrees require them to give back, do some community service time. And we've partnered with St. Leo. We partnered with Liberty Mutual. They do days of service for their employees. So it's another group bonding experience, too. So anybody can volunteer from any background. Churches, like you said, we've had a group that come in from a church, and they're just amazed at what we do and that they can actually help us. You know? The behind the scenes stuff they don't know about. They're like, oh, I can do this. So
yeah, that's great. And we have some stuff we do with Keller Williams Realty. We have a Red Day that's throughout the country. It's about 180,000 agents that we have now throughout the country. But one of the ones we do here locally is something as simple as just having the wood donated, I believe, and just building beds. There's a lot of kids that sleeping on floors, or they're bunked up with their sibling. Hey, let's get them their own bed, right? Just something simple like that. But that's what's cool about Tampa Bay. It seems like there is a large capacity for volunteers, for charitable events, for those philanthropic ventures.
Yeah, definitely. And places like Keller Williams, they come in and they realize that they can give back, and they don't realize how much they're helping, and getting there on site and really seeing what they can do. And most people are like, oh, I've never worked in a retail environment, I can't come work at a thrift shop. Yes, you can.
Never could.
Yes, you can. You come in. There's so much more than just hanging clothes up on a hanger. So
yeah. What would they be doing? So if you're looking for volunteers, and we're talking with Gulfside Healthcare Services, looking for volunteers, what are some cool things that some of the folks could come in and help you out with?
Yeah, the main thing is actually just receiving the donations. I mean, we get on average about 50 drop-offs per day at each of our stores.
Right.
Takes a couple minutes to get it unloaded for the car and get it in the building, but just receiving them. And then after that, sorting it out, separating, the clothing from the housewares. And then, going through and pricing it, grading it, trying to figure out what its value is. Of course, hanging it up, putting a price tag on it, and then putting it out on the floor. So we're not, we don't receive our items on a truck, prepackaged, pre-UPC,
right,
barcoded. So we have to do a lot of what you could call the warehouse functions at the store level. But yeah, from that point on, then they could even help out cashiering, checking out the purchases, bagging it up, just straightening up the items, putting items back on the rack after they were tried on. I mean, there's so many things to do,
Yeah.
So
it is kind of in vogue these days, It's
it's
American
trendy.
Pickers, with shows like American Pickers and Antiques Road Shows. It's pretty trendy, and I think there's a show on our station here on the weekends that has a kind of an estate sale type feel to it. It's sometimes people call in, and I remember one clip they kind of replay. It said, she called in. I forgot what the item was, but he's like, yeah, that would be worth about 15, and she said $15. You go, oh no, that's $1,500.
Exactly.
People don't know a lot of times.
They don't, yeah. And that's why, sometimes it takes a minute to process the donations, because we want to look them up and make sure we get maximum value. But, people are coming in looking for those, those diamonds, and they find them sometimes.
Diamonds in the rough.
That's right.
That's right. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We got a feel-good story coming up. You don't want to miss this one. Boston Marathon runners, it was a really crazy story, because he praised for stopping to help injured competitor cross the finish line. A lot of people say, hey, I'm getting my time down. I ran all this way. But we got a feel-good story coming up here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We're talking with Gulfside Healthcare Services here in studio. Quick break, right back.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Tired of long lines at the airport? Check out Tampa Bay's premier private jet source. I'm Brandon BRimes for Will Smith Aviation. Aircraft management, acquisition, and sales, luxury jet escapes, and packages. Check them out online. WillSmithAviation.com. That's WillSmithAviation.com. Or call the show. I'll put you right in touch directly with Captain Will Smith. AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com for all of your non-woke, American-made products. American values, Christian, conservative American values. Say hello to my business partner, Jim McCune, at AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Say hello to Shane Socash, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, 4009 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg. Online at David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com for all of your precious metals and jewelry design. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Hey, Brandon Rimes here for Jason Coble, owner of Coble Law. Coble Law has been handling injury cases in Tampa for the past 14 years and has a specialized approach focused on limiting client cost and maximizing client profit. TampaWorkCompLaw.com. TampaWorkCompLaw.com. Jason Coble, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, personal injury law, and work comp law.
Hey, Brandon Rimes here for our friends at TargetSurveying.net. For all of your surveying needs, land surveying firm providing services for real estate since 1992, and they are statewide. Check them out online, TargetSurveying.net. That's TargetSurveying.net.
Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rimes. You can reach me at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. That's consumerqb, like quarterback.com. Buying, selling, investing, or refinancing? We would love to talk to you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, we got a listing here at 100 East Shell Point Road, Ruskin, Florida. This is an awesome listing. It's a commercial property that we have. By the way, we've got about 50 current listings. A good percentage breakdown of commercial, vacant land, and residential. But this one's 100 East Shell Point Road in Ruskin. It's 6,758 square feet of mixed-use business. It's a half an acre of land. You've got plenty of parking as well. It's recent renovations also to this property. 2-story commercial/residential building. So you've got tenants in both categories there. So you've got some passive income coming in. Great investment opportunity for that entrepreneur out there. 100 East Shell Point Road, Ruskin, Florida. Beautiful and kind of a unique building there as well. It's got the nice architecture and the painting color there. It's pretty neat, pretty unique. Let's take a look at 443 Foxdale Road, Lake Placid, Florida. This one's in the center of the state, right there off of US 27, middle of the state. We got a 222, 1514 square feet, quarter-acre lot, open floor plan, large windows throughout, lots of natural lighting coming in, and you've got that metal roof on top that is going to provide a lot of nice shade and electrical advantages there as well, and it's going to last for a long time. Those things last about 40, 50 years. 443 Foxdale Road, Lake Placid, Florida. And you can see all of our real estate listings online at platinummvpteam.kw.com. You can search the MLS there on our site. And you can see all of our radio and TV show experts. And click on the links to our YouTube channel directly from consumerqb.com.
This is God's country. Tell me something good.
All right, here you go. Feel good story of the day. Boston Marathon runners praised for stopping to help injured competitor cross the finish line. This one's a very unique story. During the Boston Marathon, 2 runners stopped near the finish to help fellow competitor AJ Hardashi, and who collapsed with severe leg cramps. Instead of continuing for their own personal best times, Aaron Begg and Robson Oliveira lifted him up and supported him to the finish line together. Hardashi later shared how humbled he felt by their selfless act, noting that they sacrificed their race goals to help him. Oliveira explained that it was a split-second decision driven by compassion. All 3 runners received medical attention afterwards, with Oliveira treated for dehydration. Hardashi says he plans to return and run the race again next year. So there you have it, our feel-good story of the day. And Aaron, we love those feel-good stories. It's always nice in a world full of a lot of negativity out there, not all, but a lot of it, to have these feel-good stories from time to time, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you got to have something to really shine the light on it. So.
Yeah, and it seems like too when people are battling different medical situations, there's these GoFundMe's can really take off these days. We've done a couple of really interesting GoFundMe stories. One was like an elderly delivery DoorDash driver or something, and the guy felt bad. He says, "Hey, this guy's in his 80s. He's out here working. He's out here hustling. Let's start a GoFundMe." And those things take off sometimes. It's really neat to see.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, I guess we're the original GoFundMe, having a thrift shop, reselling goods. But yeah, it's always good. And we hear a lot of stories, when people make those donations, they'll tell us why they're donating, or their loved one was on our services and they just needed to give back. And that's how we get some of our volunteers,
that's good.
They come in and they're like, I just can't deal with, the patient side of it, but I want to do something, indirect. So, they come and they volunteer in the shop. So it's another great way to, give back without actually having to be, on the clinical side.
Goes full circle.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, yeah. So that's great. I love to hear that. That's good feedback to know. And what other messages do you think our listeners want to know? I mean, maybe something that people may not understand is Gulfside Healthcare Services. You've got 3 core services that you offer: hospice, palliative care, and home health. Maybe we could define those for our audience, and maybe there might be some need out there.
Yeah, hospice is for those with a terminal illness. Those are the ones that have been given, a limitation, and they're, to the point that the doctors have said, there's nothing else we can do. And it's all about making the patient comfortable because they have been faced with, the life is ending. And that's, one of those things. A lot of people don't even know that, Medicare has a hospice benefit and they're able to come and get the services from us. But it's all about compassionate care is what that is. Palliative care is more for, a manageable chronic illness. Think of it, you have to go to the doctor, repetitive. And then home health is, sometimes people look at it, you've been injured, you need physical therapy, but usually it's it's a 30 to 60 day episode where it is. And, those necessarily don't go hand in hand, but some people do progress through the stages. And some people start on hospice and end up moving to palliative, and some people start on home health and immediately jump. It just depends case by case, and all of our doctors and clinicians really take a good look at every case to make sure they're in the right, spot for their service.
Right. And we've interviewed some of your chaplains as well on the show, so it's nice to see that you have that side of the services as well.
Yep. Chaplains, a great bereavement team, counselors available, before, during, and after, care. It's not one of those, once the patient has passed, that's the end of the road. They check in on them. Social workers do a lot of work with them too. So, it's full circle.
Yeah, that's great. Aaron Barrish here. He's the director of thrift shops for Gulfside Healthcare Services. And I'm your host, Brandon Rimes. And, I had a friend in the family who's recently passed, but he had a really cool niche because there's some niches in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the thrifting and what he would do is he would go in and he would find knives that were some type of a brand or what he knew what to look for. In other words, because he spent a lot of time on eBay or whatever. But he'd pick them up at a quarter, 50 cents or $1 or whatever, and he'd sell some of those for 50, 70, whatever dollars. So there's some markup there. So it could be an interesting game for some folks out there.
Oh yeah, resellers are definitely part of our customer mix, and we don't turn them away. Everybody's there to make their money.
Yeah.
And they come in looking for those specific things, and sometimes they know things that we don't know, and that's okay. Yeah. And they'll come in, like you said, those knives, or certain types of, ceramics or dinnerware. They'll recognize the brand, or they'll realize that people are starting to search for a specific item more often, and they'll grab it up because it is about making money, and whoever makes it, that's okay. But
yeah, it's another market.
Oh yeah,
it's another market, almost like real estate. You got the wholesale side. People don't, some folks don't have money to put into homes or renovate them. And then you've got, of course, retail, which most people are familiar with.
Oh yeah. We'd rather them come in and buy it or us be able to sell it to, the average customer than it go in the landfill. We just wrapped up, Earth Day was April, 22nd, and we really, we recycle as much as we can when we cannot sell it, and that's the goal there is we've got to turn it into some type of revenue because the donor gave it to us with the expectation that's what we would do.
Right.
So whether we can't sell it because it ended up broken, we'll try to find somewhere to recycle it. And
Yeah.
do
One
everything
man's
we
trash
can.
is another man's
That's
gold.
right. Exactly.
Yep. So
Yes.
the sustainability side of that. So.
Very much so.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Yeah,
you spending
thanks
some
for
time
having me.
with us here.
I appreciate
All right.
it.
Check them out online, folks. They're online, Gulfside Healthcare Services, and also consumerqb.com. You can see links there to their CEO, Linda Ward, information there as well online. Consumer Quarterback Show, thanks for tuning in today, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rimes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show.